Good evening, everyone. It's been quite a while since last we talked. I think it's been like over a month. And welcome back to the Three Wise Potatoes podcast. We're not doing a vodcast this time, but we'll explain. We'll explain just now, right? We've been quite busy. There's massive floods in parts of South Africa. We've been to weddings, we've been sick, some with COVID, some with other sicknesses. So that was pretty much our month, and that's why we were away for such a long time, an extended period, I would say. But we're back, we're all better, and we have once again both Prush and Dean with us. How are both of you guys?
Doing all right. You guys? Yeah, better from the COVID.
Doing
So
good.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a
Back
wild
to
one
normal.
those past weeks. Fun though, still.
Mm.
massive amounts of fun. Not the COVID, but the things that happened prior to the COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yep.
good. I had a good time. It was, it. There was a lot of
Mm.
obviously traveling and stuff like that because the wedding wasn't here. It wasn't Durban, but it was nice. It was good to actually go
Yeah,
home
true. Shout out to
as well
escorts.
for a
Those
bit.
guys really know how to party.
You know,
Man, oh man.
Dean left his mark.
So did you. So did Tyron. We all
Yeah,
did.
it's true. That's true. That's a fair point to make. Yeah, it was a blast. I think it was also nice get
mm.
together with I guess everyone again. All of us
Yeah.
in one location, so like all of our good friends together, just a bit to celebrate, I guess, a momentous occasion in what was an amazing event. It's our friend's wedding. They postponed it like twice. Before they could have this because
Yeah.
of COVID and things like that. And I guess they said enough's enough. Let's just do this finally. And yeah, it was quite beautiful to be a part of and to watch as well.
Yeah.
And
Just
then
to
we
be
got
part of
COVID.
that, feel that kind of energy and that vibe was amazing.
Yeah, it much needed, like I said, right? So,
Yeah.
well, today's topic, I guess,
Yeah.
is after all of that excitement. So today's topic is about peace, calm, and relaxation, and its place in a person's life. Um, and does it feature largely in everyone's life? Should it feature largely in everyone's life, and those sorts of things? And I'd like to kind of open up with what does peace, calm, or relaxation mean to you, any of you?
Yeah, okay. For peace
Dean,
and
you wanna go
calm and
first?
relaxation, I think a lot of it for me is just sort of space by myself to sort of unwind or decompress, however you choose to look at it. Sometimes that is just to close the curtains, keep the doors closed, and then just watch a Stranger Things marathon with copious amounts of cheesecake. And other times that is taking a walk, or a hike or something like that. Go to a nature reserve or go on a hike or something like that where there's just the sky above you and just an open trail. You occasionally come across the odd person, but you kind of just by yourself. Everything's quiet and it's just space to, like I say, unwind and decompress. That's what it is for me. Good.
For you, Prash, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely agree with what Dean said. For me, it's very much similar. I think obviously the differences is like some people prefer being out in nature and some people prefer like specific hobbies and stuff like that. But I think peace and calm is probably more where for me personally is more where I'm in a state where I can just be by myself with my thoughts, but also in a good place with my thoughts. Like, not under duress, not under stress, but like um, thinking about the things that I like, um, things that like uh, uh, excite me, but also things that I can like plan for my future. And that I like those kind of things. They bring me peace. They bring me like a little bit of enjoyment. Um, not net, but also there's other times where I prefer to be not thoughtless, but in like I don't know if I can say in the zone, but doing something or hobby that I like, I purely enjoy, right? Um, Even if it's interacting and there's lots of people around me or lots of people in that activity, but more of a thing of like if I'm in flow, I find that very peaceful for myself because it's the natural mechanism that
Yeah, I
my
get that.
body and my mind want to be in. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, I find it peaceful, because I'm not
Yeah, that makes
out of
sense.
harmony with what I should be doing.
What about you, Cap?
I mean,
Yeah,
peace and calm for me. Um, so listening to the both of you, I guess, with with the different, just I would say different takes on it. Mine is I think it's a melding of both. Um, Peace and calm for me is stillness. Um, just kind of me not doing anything, but also
okay,
there's some portion that achieves the same by doing, I think, typical tasks like Prash mentioned, that where they can just kind of focus and what's the word you used? I can't.
Zoning in.
Yes, zone in or zone out, right? That sort of thing,
where
right? So you're
like
fully in tune,
in flow, yeah, in flow,
just with
yeah.
your thoughts. So peace and calm for me just represents stillness. And if I am doing something, it doesn't mean that I don't or haven't achieved peace or stillness. It's just flow is different. So that's how I represent it, or how I think it. But I mean, you mentioned as well doing
Sure, yeah.
things like what other stuff can bring up those states, or peace or pleasant states, or a state of relaxation. Does it have to be things, or does it just, like I mentioned, sit in stillness?
So yeah, so from what all three of us have said, it brings to mind something for me that's like it's more of we prefer a state where we're not
Yeah, that's
troubled
exactly it.
by external forces, right? But also at peace with our not at peace with our inner forces because that's peace, but in harmony with what's internal that's happening to us, and allowing our internal mechanisms to flow normally so that we can operate at a level that isn't disingenuous or disharmonious to who we are. And I think that's probably the best way
Yeah,
I
it's a
can
form
like
of
sum up all
rest
of the stuff that
and
we have
recuperation
differently.
in many ways. Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
something that gives
that's
you a
that's a nice way
break
of
from
saying it as
everything
well.
else, where you can sort of just let go, exhale, which is just another word for like unwind or decompress. But that's essentially what it is. It's like how the body needs sleep to recover, and the mind to an extent. You need that peace and calm space for your sanity as well. It's just it's a little bubble that you create for yourself that allows you to relax.
And does it have to be okay? So you mentioned a little bubble,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Does it have to be some space? Does it have to be a specific space? Does it have to be a specific place? Does it have to be a specific environment that's
I
conducive to
think it's
this sort of thing?
specific to each person,
Yeah.
but I think what you're essentially doing is you're looking for places of comfort,
Yeah.
and it doesn't necessarily have to be solitude. Some people find that, seeing friends. Um, Another place I find it is whenever I visit my dad and we go fishing. That there is the act of fishing. I mean, even if we catch nothing, which for me is a lot of the case because I'm a terrible fisherman, um,
We'll
but
fix that.
we can't. We could try, but it's just the act of being at the beach, chilling with my dad. Like we don't say a hell of a lot to each other. We kind of just like spend time with each other or be in each other's presence, but we're also there in front of this vast ocean, um, you know, hoping to catch something, and you always feel better afterwards. You always feel calm there, and when you get back home, after you take a shower and you're chilling on the couch, you're like, oh, that was a very nice day. That was a nice way to spend the morning, and I'm a lot more relaxed and a lot more calm.
Yeah, I do agree with Dean. I think the first thing that Dean said is something that I agree with most. You can't, it's not about, it's different for every person. Every single person has a different level of peace because of the way they've associated calmness and peace within themselves as they grow up. And
True.
some people find
Some
peace in
people find it in
chaos,
a cage fight.
to be honest with you.
What?
And
Yeah,
some
if you
people
listen to
find peace.
some fighters, yeah, they'll say when I'm in the
Yeah,
ring and it's just me and my opponent, that
seriously,
is when
some
I'm at
people,
my peace.
yeah, yeah,
They get in, like Coach is talking about, getting
most,
in the
yeah,
zone. They
yeah.
get into their zone, and like the rest of the world just fades away. There's nothing but the ring and the opponent. That's it. And for them, that is a peaceful place. It's more peaceful than the world that they live in.
So bringing that up then, like,
Yeah.
how do you identify that something, for example, Dean, it was you fishing with your dad, which is just in a calming environment as well. How do you kind of identify what's your thing? Some people like they were fighters, and yes, when you get in the ring, you have to focus entirely on the fight itself and you and your opponent and you and your abilities and things like that. But how do you identify what's your thing to get you to that particular state?
I think it's just paying attention to yourself. Like you have to have some degree of awareness, or you have to make an effort to find out and just be conscious of it. So like for me, I always notice like I'm very happy at the beach. Like not I tend not to overthink when I'm there. Like a lot of the noise in my head seems to be drowned out, pardon the pun, by the noise of the ocean, and it's just like it's weird that like there it's very much the environment is doing all the work. Whereas when I'm at home and I'm like binge watching Stranger Things, that's a different thing altogether. But like at the beach, I'm very aware of the fact that I'm in a very happy, calm space. And when I get home, I'm very aware of the fact that you know what, like yesterday I was a little bit tense and I was a bit stressed out. But today, after spending that much time at the beach, fishing, even though I didn't catch anything, it was fine. I get home and I'm very calm, I'm very relaxed, like I'm content. And that feeling is, especially when it doesn't happen all that often, you have to pay attention to when you do have it. And then you go, ah, okay, so these are the things that give me that feeling. I also get a similar feeling when I cook. I tend not to be thinking when I'm cooking. I just kind of move into like an autopilot space and I'm busy chopping away. I find that very therapeutic. Hearing the food cook, the smells, all of that stuff, like the sensory activation does so much work for my brain that it just stops, it just pushes out all the other thoughts and the noise.
Are there commonalities between when you're at the beach versus when you're at home watching series or when you're cooking? What are the commonalities between them? Is it sensory perception or is it sensory, not overload, but sensory loading with certain aspects and certain things?
So if I look at, say, being at the beach
Yeah.
versus cooking, there's multiple senses being
Mm.
stimulated, right? So there's a commonality, right? Your sensory stimulation is on a multitude of levels. If it's something like binge watching your
Yeah.
favorite series, there's not a lot of senses being activated. You're kind of just a couch potato and you're watching and listening. But the commonality amongst all of them is that it allows you to essentially dissolve the world around you and to just bubble for that
So
period.
you're
Like whether I'm in my cooking bubble or the beach bubble or the
yeah.
binge watching on the couch bubble, either way, the rest of the world is just drowned out and it's just me and whatever I'm
Okay,
doing.
so are you processing at that time or are you just like enjoying the moment?
That's when I'm not processing. Like I'm 90% certain there's no processing
Okay.
happening. Like the brain is just doing one thing and it's fantastic.
Okay, so
But
yeah,
when you're, for example, you mentioned couch potato, right? And
Yeah.
you said that's like basically brain dead sort of thing. But isn't that honestly invoking emotions in you though? So
Pardon?
it's not like it's stimulating sensory externally. For example, like cooking is food, and you're cutting the onions, which is feel and touch. But there's emotional factors that play when you're watching your favorite series, for example. It invokes that internally. Like it's not external sensory, but it's internal, emotional.
Yeah, there's definitely emotional stimulation because you wouldn't be binge watching something if you didn't enjoy it, right? So you're either enjoying it because it's good comedy, it's
There,
suspense, it's
there,
thrilling, whatever that
there are
might be.
husbands out there now
Um,
cringing.
why they watch stuff, they binge watch things too. Like, I mean,
I
tell me,
mean,
husbands haven't binge watched Game of Thrones? Come on, we've all
but there are
binge
husbands
watched
out
that.
there being forced to watch Bridgerton and things like that. Anyway, sorry.
Well, I would say that, if you feel like you're being forced to do something, you should pay attention to it a little bit closely because if it adds value to someone else, there's probably value for you too. You're just not willing to see it.
Sure.
I'm not saying that everyone's going to enjoy Bridgerton. I haven't actually seen it myself. A lot of people say you should give it a shot. But when I looked at it, it's like it's more than an hour an episode. I'm like, I don't know if I want to commit to that. But besides the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're in a relationship where your significant other is, we're digressing slightly, but if you're in a relationship where your significant other is making you watch Bridgerton, then you got to compromise. Say, cool, I'll watch this, but you got to watch something of mine that's that I'm really interested in and share that experience with me. Whether it's the football, the Formula One, the cricket, the rugby, the tennis, whatever that might be, and you use it as an opportunity to experience your significant other's happinesses.
Sure.
Is that a word?
Sure.
Happinesses. Just go with it.
Sorry, Guj,
Just
I
go with it.
interrupted you before you were about to ask another question.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to follow how far we've digressed, but
Quite far. This is a significant tangent,
Sorry.
no, no, no.
but
Look,
it was around emotions
I'm
and
trying to think about how that relates to
what that
peace because
stimulates.
obviously, like the reason I asked the question was because I was trying to find a commonality between the different scenarios. And
Yeah.
for me, the scenarios for Dean involve like, separating from outside, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
doing
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
gonna call the phrase
yeah.
bubbling
And
for
and
now.
and
That's what it is.
and then not having brain activity. So basically, you're
Or narrowing the brain activity down to one
in
thing.
all essence what you're doing, right? Except for when you're actually watching series, the cooking and the fishing is essentially what you're doing is meditating, right? Um,
Yes,
yeah.
100%.
So the series and stuff, I think that's more of a hobby, right? Or not a hobby, but it's like it's a pastime for you, right? Um,
Yeah, it's just a little
yeah.
indulgence.
But I
I
would
would call it that.
for me, to be honest with you, I would we could liken it to peace, but I think it's more of an enjoyable activity, you know?
Well, I liken it to peace because I feel content while in
Yeah,
that
correct.
space.
But I think,
For
yeah,
me, the mind focusing on one
mm,
singular thing allows for a decompression of
sure.
sorts. Um, and like I'm sitting in a very comfortable position on the
Yeah,
couch. There's generally some form of confectionery, usually cheesecake, and a pot of Earl Grey tea in the winter, which is I'm really enjoying that right now. Um, but that's what it is. It's a lot of things that just give me a lot of joy and
mm,
peace. It's not active joy. It's very
mm.
passive joy, if that makes
Sure, no, I
sense.
get it.
But I feel very
Mm,
happy and very content with
mm.
life in those moments.
Okay, no, cool. I'm similar. For me, peace is sometimes just getting to my bed at the end of the day and then just listening to some music. Um,
Mm, that sounds nice.
but I prefer like music without words. Just just calm, peaceful. Even sometimes that stuff you hear when you're at the spa or like that kind of music. I prefer that calming music. That for me is peaceful because I'm in a state where I don't have to, like you say, not think. You're almost in a meditative state. Um, I enjoy that.
Spa. Now you got me thinking about massages and all of that good things, dude. Damn
Yeah,
it.
That is a
magic
wonderfully
stuff.
peaceful place.
We'll do that soon as
Yeah,
well.
Yeah,
I feel like a spa
yeah.
day is
Yeah,
needed.
yeah. We'll go for one, and a fishing day
Yeah,
to teach Dean how to fish.
he knows how to fish. He's just
You
massively
mean he
unfit.
means teach
There's a
he
commonality with my love
means he
life
means
too.
teach me how to fish.
Yes, 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 yes. So its place. What do you think it's for example, relaxation, peace, and calm is? Does it have a place in common society we see now?
Yeah,
In the society we see now, excuse me.
yeah,
We live this rat race sort of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Um, and does it fit in, or can it fit in? Like, people always seem too busy to kind of give them the space and time for themselves, to give space and time for themselves, excuse me, rather. Um, but does it have a place in everyone's life? In
Yeah.
everyone's life now.
No, you
This is
have.
like a blanket statement.
Yeah, you have to. You have to have that place where you can go, even if you know, even if it's not by yourself, and like even if you consider gaming peace, right? Um, yeah,
We
we
did.
did for a long period.
Yeah.
Um, even if that's what you consider the peace, you need to have that. You can't have a life that's consistently ongoing, going, because you'll fall apart. That's what burnout is after a while.
Yeah. Like I agree with Rich 100% there. Like even if you feel like you don't have time, like you have to find time. It's the sanity break that allows you to continue. You have to.
And you
Yeah,
can't
I think
remain,
a
I
lot of
guess,
us, sorry,
switched
a lot of
on.
us wouldn't have the kind of anxiety and depression issues that you're seeing in the world today. A lot of that could be mitigated if people just found a bit more time to find some peace.
No, I agree. I mean, you also can't remain switched on all the time. It, like Prash is
Yeah,
saying,
it's
it
not
takes
sustainable.
incredible amount of toll on you physically even as well.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
peace and stillness, I guess, is not a new thing. It's been appearing around the globe for many centuries. I guess from ascetics to yogis to life engineers. What or why do you think it's it's sort of gained traction in this new era? I think the last 100 years is or so. What makes you think, or what do you think made it gain traction?
What are you asking about
Yeah.
specifically? Like particular trends like yoga and things, or like the idea that you need to find
The idea
calming
that the
spaces?
idea that you need to have it right. So the base of all these practices is to get to a centered self and to be more aligned, right?
Hmm.
That's the base of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But like, at what point did it become popular enough that everyone's now promoting it? And what do you think that they actually so big about it now?
I think it's personally from the way I see it is there's a trend towards it because there's a lot of trends towards different things over time and they cyclic because you find that people like tend towards peace and tend towards calm, right? Because they find that the whole world has these problems with like mental health and um, people some people are having issues and some people are like struggling to um, focus in their lives. Some people have burnout because they're working too hard, especially with nowadays. People work so hard, like 16-hour days. It's a normal thing for some people. And when you when you have those lifestyles and you see those lifestyles everywhere, you start seeing that someone will come and say, "Listen, guys, we need to instill peace, calm. You need to have a fresh mindset. Otherwise, you're gonna end up burning out and stuff like that." And that's where this is coming from. And then people naturally try to develop different methodologies um, to that point of like self-centeredness and things like that. So I think that's more or less where it's coming from. It's coming from this environment that this heavily work and busy related environment that's creating this need for self-centeredness and self-growth and self-mindfulness, if I can say it that way.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that. But I would say there's a general shift in consciousness in a few areas. People wanting to live more conscious lives, more balanced lifestyles, um, people wanting to be a little bit more plant based, reduce their footprint on the
Mm.
planet. There's a lot of that kind of stuff happening right now, and all of that, they kind of all play in a similar space of that conscious living. And conscious living then leads you to want to look at yourself a bit more. And when you do that, you end up also just looking specifically for not just introspection, but peace and quiet to do that introspection. And you end up wanting that peace a little bit more. You become more conscious of where you find it, and you make more of a conscious effort to have it and cultivate it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, right? That people, it was born out of need, you know, and information sharing as well. Have any of you tried anything specific from any of these leaders, I would say, in each of these areas? Life engineers, ascetics, or yogis?
Yeah, I listen. I think a lot of people know about Sadhguru, right? Um,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
household name.
the reason why I like him so much is because he's got a very simplistic but logical view of things. It's not overblown out. There's no um, reason behind the reason behind the thing. He'll literally just say, "This is what it is, and this is why this was created." And this, for me, that helps a lot because I don't have to. It's logical. I'm a very logical person. I prefer that, but also he explains that the body is itself and the body is what it should be and how you can improve it and things you should do and stuff like that. But it's not like he's not going out of his way to say you need to do 3 hours of yoga a day or you need to, you know, there's no like tons of rules and stuff. He makes things simple, he explains it simply, and you can follow and you can change your life in a certain way, and you can improve your life in a certain way just by doing simple things.
Yeah, I mean, I really like him as well. I think the delivery, just the way he talks, his tone, the way he structures things, in sentences and things like that. It's just really easy to absorb information from him. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of his stuff, like you say, it's logical, it makes sense, it's very to the point. So he's definitely someone over quite some time now I've been following. I think the first video I came across his was about how water has memory, um, and I was just like blown away by the explanation. And after that, I've been following his content for quite some time. So he's probably the only, well, not the only one, but the one that comes to mind for me as well, most above any others.
Do you see yourselves ever um, going for one of those seminars or retreats or
I
getaways?
don't know about retreats, but I did see him when he came. I think it was 2018,
Oh yeah, I
maybe.
missed that.
Um, yeah, he was interviewed by the minister, Praveen Gordhan, was the guy actually who did the interview, and he was just like seeing the guy move in real life. Like you don't think a guy that looks that old can move that quickly. But he was like jumping upstairs and just like really sprightly and full of like vigor and life. And it was just like hearing him in person. He's an incredible um, interviewer or interviewee, shall I say? Very captivating to watch. Do I think I'll go for a retreat? Probably not. But um,
But why do you
would I
say
go
why do you
see him
say not
speak
though? Why
again?
do you
Yeah.
say no?
Because I can't be bothered around retreats. I don't think there's any retreat that's really attractive enough for me to go to. If I'm going for a retreat, I'm going to be drunk on a beach and get massages. That's my idea of a retreat.
And yourself, Prash?
Um, I would go to listen to a talk, but I don't know about retreats either. For me, I'm a bit like Dean. My wanting to go for a retreat would feel like uh, um, I've lost my way a little bit, and I need to go for this retreat to like find myself.
Yeah.
And that for me, I don't I like doing that would. Why would I go for this? Like the question for me is why would I go for this retreat? I need to go there to find out something about what I don't know, right? Like learn something, or go to find out something that I'm missing. And
Yeah.
it's not. I'm not saying I'm not missing anything, right? Because nobody's perfect, obviously. But um, I feel like I could get more out of like what Dean says, going on a beach and just I would find more of myself there, you know. If that, yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, it's called a retreat
yeah,
for a
yeah,
reason,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
mean, you retreat.
yes, exactly.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I know people who have gone, you know, it's like a weekend away.
yeah,
Like you give your cell phones in and stuff like that. There's like minimal contact with the
yeah,
outside world.
yeah.
Some even just give you, you know, after your retreat day, after you completed one day,
Mm,
they like give you your cell phone back for like an hour. and then next day it starts all over again. You give it in, whatever,
Yeah, I'm
and
not a
it's one of
child.
those
Yeah.
peaceful treats.
Yeah, we're not children.
Yeah, like if I want peace and quiet, I'll tell my family
Yeah.
on the group, leave me alone for the
I
next
don't
6 hours. I'll
yeah.
tell my friends, and that's it. Like I don't need. Then I know, like leave the phone because I don't need to check it. Like you can manage yourself.
I suppose, but there are those that can't, right?
Look, I
Yeah.
get that there are some people that their work circumstances mean that they're constantly being bothered all the time. And the only time they'll get time away is if they like book themselves into a place for mental health, and they'll like get a release form from that place saying that this person will not have access to their phone. That is literally the only time they're going to get a break from it. Like, then I'm saying, okay, I get where you are. You're doing something for your career and all that stuff. I get that, but it is not a healthy place to be.
Okay.
Yeah. I
So I know,
couldn't
Prash,
put it better. Yeah.
Prash, I know you mentioned earlier, saying that what we kind of do is some form of meditation.
Yes.
Is it that, or is it a tool, um, to kind of achieve it? Right, meditation is a tool amongst others that we kind of use to get to this place
Yeah.
of calm.
So I've been reading a lot of Robert Adams recently. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
Robert Adams,
Hmm.
but it just pops up on a lot of my feeds, and I quite enjoy the take and the view, right? Because it just it resonates so much with me. But when I think about what he explains in terms of like, silence and being in silence, for me,
Hmm.
that is, I would call that the culmination of meditation, but also peace. I see meditation and peace very closely linked. Not because it's like it's an actual link, but for me personally, I find peace in meditation, right? And that's
Yeah.
why I link the two. And when someone like Robert Adams talks about silence, spending in time in silence, understanding that you're like you've said, Yash, your mind is like is your friend, is your frenemy, right? And
Yeah.
when you learn not how to control it, but how to understand when it's doing its thing, and finding that peace within yourself in that silence, for me, that's why I link the two. And I don't feel like one needs to pre lead the other. I feel like they work hand in hand, right? But that's personal for me because I find my peace in those states, right? And when I say meditation, I don't necessarily mean you sitting there and sitting in silence, specifically like Robert Adams would say. Whatever you consider meditation, right? Whether it be reading a book, whether it be um, playing games, whether it be doing artwork, whether it, like Dean says, cooking, fishing, those are different forms of meditation, right? And that's where the peace comes from for me. And that's why they so heavily linked. So one doesn't pre-lead the other. I feel like they're very much linked to each other. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I'd
You
agree with
can
that.
be in search of peace and you could do that through meditation, or you can do meditation and then find peace from there. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's how I
Yeah.
mentally link the two.
Either way, they're exercises to quieten the mind.
Yeah, yes, but also, sometimes I've realized that quietening the mind is not necessarily what I struggle with quietening the mind completely. What I prefer to do is be harmonious with it, to be in the same direction of it.
Yeah, but you don't have to quieten the mind by
Yeah,
subduing it. You know, like you're not
yeah,
like visualizing
yeah,
you like finding your mind and then gag and binding your
yeah.
mind, and then like
Because
stick
it's
it in
not
a coffin.
possible. That
That's
no,
not
but
what we're trying
to me,
to
that's
do.
not even possible. I can't do that.
Yeah, but I mean, like for some people, I think they probably
I
do see
can't.
it that way. They're
I
like they take.
literally can't do that. My mind runs faster than I physically can, right? Um, and
Yeah,
it's like it's impossible for me. So I found more that if I'm harmonious with it, right, in or in the same direction, then that's where I find the most flow and the most in the zoneness. Yeah,
yeah. Like for me, if you can sit quietly with your mind,
yeah, yeah.
that's the win.
So what in your life, have been the benefits of a calmer state, of a more relaxed state? Like, have you gained other superpowers and things like that, right? Or what have you been able to achieve when you operate from a particular state, from this particular state.
Sure. Magic. Seriously, dude, being in the right state, um, it amplifies everything that you put out there. I know there's a lot of people that like don't believe in like attraction and law of attraction and all that stuff. I'm not saying that I 100% believe in it either, but what I'm saying is that when you are in the right state, I guarantee that the things that you do are the things that you are mentally geared for are amplified.
That's true.
It's not unexplainable, but it's like um let's use a sports analogy for example, right? Um let's say we have a good who's a bad player that's been playing recently, or a player that's completely out of form. Uh
Harry Maguire.
Harry no no does it I should rephrase. Who's a player that's really good but completely out of form? Uh
Pogba.
Pogba, right?
Paul
Paul
Pogba.
Pogba,
Yeah.
right? That's the prime example. Thanks, Dean. Because look at how he plays for United, right? Look at how he plays for United. It's stop start. It's difficult. Some game he plays one good game out of three, right? Or one good game out of four, and in that good game, 65 minutes is good, and 25 minutes to 35 minutes or whatever the rest of the time he's on the pitch for is like it's a struggle. He loses the ball, he's not doing anything. But he goes and plays for France, and this guy's an absolute demon king, right? Ungodly um monster, right? But it's look at the state that he's in, right? And what he can do when he's in a good state, and everything becomes amplified, right? When he plays for France, right? Because he's got the back players behind him, and the whole team is in geared in that motion for him, right? Any pass that he makes will literally land on the right toenail of whoever he wants it to land on, right? But when he plays for United, the guy can't make a pass to, I don't know, to save his life, you know, for half a game,
It's a really, really good
right?
analogy
And
because, like, when you look at the two, he looks like he's really
yeah,
laboring. He looks like he's fighting depression when he's playing at
exactly.
United. And
Yeah,
when he's at France, he looks like he's just loving life. Everything is
exactly.
effortless, even though his output is 10 times higher than what it would be in a
Yeah,
red shirt.
and that comes from. It doesn't come from. Look, it's the same Pogba. One month he's playing for United, the next month he's playing for France. It's not like he went to the French team and then all of a sudden went Super Saiyan. That doesn't happen, right? It's the same guy. It's the
Yeah.
same guy. He's done the same training. You couldn't have out trained all the bad things that he's had in a whole season in 1 month and then go win a World Cup. You can't do that, right? It's
I mean,
impossible.
it's inner energy expressed outwardly.
Right. Now, so what's happening is literally,
I think
yeah.
it's
So
harmony
what's
expressed
literally
outwardly.
Yeah.
happening is the surrounding environment, right? The external forces that are around him are positive. That's one, right? The internal forces that are within him are now so much stronger because of the external forces not bothering him. Two, he's in a new environment and a different environment, one he feels he can control, right? Because
He doesn't feel like he has to fight it
exactly.
either.
And now he's got this backing of Kante and Verratti, and then the whole defense line sitting behind him, right? That are geared to defending, right? And in front of him, he's got literally some of the best players in the world, right? In Mbappe, I think I don't know if Giroud was still playing at the time.
Benzema.
Benzema, like the guy just won. The guy's going to win Ballon d'Or, right? That's the level of
Yeah,
what he's got in front of him.
and
Now the
Griezmann.
guy just needs to just make a pass, right? So you see how all of the stuff is going for him. It's amplified in the direction, and anything that he does, right, the pass that he makes will result in a goal. Whereas if he's playing for United, all the external factors are around him that are negative, right? At this stage, because I mean the fans are probably sitting there going, "Who's this Pogba and why is he still playing for us?" Right? The internal forces are saying, "Listen, half my team is crap. Maguire is standing behind me, so if I lose the ball, I'm screwed." Now he's worried about losing the ball instead of making the pass, right? And then when he makes the pass, if Cristiano's not there, who's going to score the goal, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
it's literally the prime example, right? Because when everything is going for you, everything that you do is amplified, right? And it's not amplified to the degree where he makes the pass and it's going to land in the goal just from the pass. Someone still has to score, right? But it's the impact of what it does, right? And that for me is why I would say 100% it makes a difference. The state that you're in and the level of peace and calm and tranquility that you have in any given scenario. And if I had to add to that, Bill Murray says something about I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, I've never done anything better than when I was in like a calm state.
Yeah, because in the calm state, you're not fussed about the
Exactly.
outcome. You're just enjoying the
Exactly.
process. And that's with Paul
Yeah.
Pogba. He's really stressed about the outcome at United, but when he's playing for France, he just cares about
Yeah.
the process. He's like, I just want to make another good
Exactly.
pass. Like, give me the ball all the time, so I can just pass all the time.
Yeah. That's how I see it.
Like,
I don't know if that can
I
that
mean,
that's a nice
I mean, agreed as well,
yeah.
right? You're not,
Yeah.
when you're more in, excuse me, when you're in a more relaxed state, like you're saying, and like Dean just mentioned as well, you're not worried about the outcomes, which
Exactly.
means, regardless of what happens, it's not going to change what you internally feel as well. And the law of attraction, for example, says that when you relax and when you in
Let go.
yes let go, that's when things start to happen, right? When you're not really worried about things. So
It's also
I yeah.
I wouldn't say he's not worried about the outcome. I would say he's so sure of the outcome that he manifests it. You understand?
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay,
That
cool.
for me makes more sense.
I would say that for me, I don't. I would say that I don't think he's worried about the outcome. I don't think he's worried. I think he wants to win. Of
Yeah.
course he does. There's a
Yeah.
desire to win, absolutely. But is there a worry? No, I don't think there is. Not up until like the 85th minute when they haven't
Yeah,
scored.
maybe.
Then I think
Yeah,
worry
I think for
creeps in.
me,
But honestly, I think like when you look at him, he just looks like a more vibrant individual in a blue French
then it
shirt,
doesn't matter.
and he just looks like he's loving life so much. Like he's like, ah, don't stress, we got this.
But you see that confidence, it's that level of confidence that comes from you asserting the
Hmm.
fact that I will do this, you know? It's
Yeah.
creating that environment that says this is what's going to happen because I believe that that's what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And that
Yeah.
comes from that backing. It's like forward mobility, consistent, you know?
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Cool. So there's something else as well that I'd like to bring to the forefront. There's this idea of obviously yin and yang, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's often touted as there has to be that sort of balance. Does this then apply to your life too? That what I mean by that is that you will have bad as well as a life of peace and calm as well.
Yeah.
Define bad.
No, I mean,
Mm.
like, I guess your life is muddled on one side, and you can still also live a peaceful life too. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, there will always be some form of stress and some form of challenge, and some people will call it chaos. There'll be some form of difficulty that you have to experience, and there'll be some sort of pressure that you get put under. And your job is to find the balance in going and getting your little calm space or your peacefulness to decompress from that stress.
Mm.
Like unless you're living a life of a monk,
Mm.
you're probably going to experience some stress on a regular basis.
Do you think those guys don't experience stress on like a
I think what they're trying to transcend all of that. So they, like if you talk about detachment, complete and utter detachment, where's your stress going to come from? And this is me speaking from a place of
yeah.
ignorance
No, no,
because
no. But
I'm not a
when
monk.
we talk about complete and utter detachment, then that balance, that level of balance is so hard to a degree that they don't also feel the ups either.
Yeah, they feel exactly. They're going for that complete
Yeah,
neutral zero
yeah.
pH. You know.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and then there's still yin and yang there because as much as you don't feel the downs, you don't feel the ups. And I
That's
can
true as well. Yeah.
I can fully use another analogy for you. Dean and Liverpool is like when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's sad. It's hard. Um,
I was very bleak,
yeah,
but you know what? Even though we lost the league on the last day and we lost Champions League final, watching us
Yeah.
play for both those games, I was just very happy watching us play.
right.
I was like, I look at the kind of football we play, and I'm like, my God, what Klopp has done is
Right.
spectacular.
But like, I mean,
And I didn't so much care about the results. Like I was really upset,
mm,
obviously, but I was like, you know what? I got to see us legitimately challenge for 4 trophies, which has never been mounted by any club in the history of England. No one's actually been in all 3 finals and ran the league till the last day. It's never happened before.
really,
So this is something that I actually got to see. No, it's true. No club has been in all 3 finals and was in a title race on the last day. This is the first time any club has ever challenged for
okay,
it, and it happened in my lifetime. And this big jolly German fellow did it. And the next day, when I saw the trophy parade in Liverpool, like the whole of Liverpool was red. It was like everyone was out in mass. I was like, this is why I support this club, because we actually, the results are cool, but we also have more trophies than anyone in England. So I mean, do we really need more? I mean, yes, we do, but it's fine. We'll get more, but we have the most, and we still have this kind of support after losing the 2 biggest trophies. This is why we support that club. They make you believe.
okay. Um, Getting back to the,
Dean is extraordinarily
yeah,
passionate
yeah.
about
It's
a
just
lot of
is I
things.
love
This
watching
is,
them play. I really do.
yeah.
Because even when we lose, we're still happy because it's like it's a joy for 90 minutes to watch them do what they do.
Yeah, sure. So, but you see what I mean? Like, there is that overwhelming positive side to it. But before Klopp came, there was, and I'm sure
Oh
you
my
loved
God, we
him,
had to live through the
but
Hodgson
you
era.
see
Oh
what I
my
mean,
word.
right?
That was
There's a
rough,
yin and
bro.
yang
Like that was
in
it
everything.
was a hard 90 minutes to watch, let me
Yeah.
just
So
tell you.
if you look
But
at
you're
it,
right, there
there's a
is. Everything happens in that is
yeah,
ebbs and
yeah,
flows. You're
and
100% right.
that's what
Um,
everything is. The higher the highs,
but that's
the
life,
higher
yeah,
the highs, the
exactly.
lower the lows. If you have extreme highs and you don't have any lows, you're not going to enjoy your life, right? Because everything is great all the time. And like so many people have said this
Yeah.
before, if you have too many lows and no highs, you're just going to be depressed all the time. So you have to have that balance. You have to. And I'm not saying you have to seek out the bad, right? It's. I'm just saying that when you have things that challenge you, experience them, right? I'm saying don't shy away from them. Experience them because it's it's going to provide you with the balance that you need so that when you have the good things you can actually appreciate them.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
follow on that analogy, watching us under Roy Hodgson was so rough for that 6 months. That 90 minutes, we played such bad football. I mean, I watched every minute of the 90, but it was hard. And now, under Klopp, even when we lose, it's a pleasure to watch because I saw how bad things were. And I'm like, now, even if we lose, it doesn't matter. We're not playing the same style of football that we did all those years ago. The style of football is majestic, and you can just appreciate that alone is a gift.
So yeah, I it's the best way to put it really.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
Um, let's just hope some people understand the football analogy as
Well,
well. To
that's
those
why
out there
I
who
yeah
unfortunately don't.
I tried to give them the whole when you have the good goods you have to also understand that at some point there's going to be a I'm not saying bad
Yeah.
bads, I'm just saying there's going to be a challenge, right, which you have to face, right,
Yeah.
and you should
Agreed.
for all intents and purposes go and experience that challenge. Don't shy away from it because it gives you an appreciation for when you have good things. Like you see Dean is
Yeah,
utterly and fully appreciating how they come out in mass, as he says, for even when they don't win all the titles, right? But he appreciates that because he knows how bad it was under Roy Hodgson. That's why. Because if Klopp was there the whole time, right, and then Klopp just won a couple seasons now, right, he'd be like, okay, it's we're doing better, right? But before he was like, we were trash before, and now we're a lot better, right? It's a complete U-turn, and and people have those U-turns in their life a lot of the time.
yeah. There's a line in Vanilla Sky, fantastic movie if you ever get to see it, where I think the line goes, "Life is a bittersweet affair, but the sweet is never a sweet without the bitter." And I mean, that's about
That's very true.
that's the easiest way to explain it. It's the
That was Tom
contrast.
Cruise, right?
Yeah, it's the contrast that gives you the highs and the lows, and helps you appreciate the highs, and push through the lows. Because if you know how good it can be when you're in those lows, you'll push through it. When you experience the highs, the highs mean a hell of a lot more that you've come from such depths.
And it'll be a lot more enjoyable, right? As well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, done with the football analogies.
We
And
maybe
movies.
Oh man, I think this is the first time we use
no,
football
come on,
analogies
really?
in the podcast.
I'm sure we've referenced stuff before.
No, I don't think so. Hey, honestly,
We've referenced
like
sports, I
I
know
mean,
that,
there's three
but
football. Yeah, no, I think we have in the past sport in general, but like three football people on this podcast, and this is the first time. I think this is like, wow,
true.
we didn't get around to it earlier. Really?
I'm quite surprised as well.
Well, I
Surprising.
mean, this was the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Good start at
Don't
it
blame
as
me.
well.
Dean said Pogba.
What?
You opened the can of worms, for example.
True.
You know.
He led me down the path.
You know, in the past podcasts, we mentioned things, or I think I brought this up that, you know, to bring peace in your own life, you have to kind of surround yourself with people and environments and, I don't know, whatever things that bring the same, right? That bring peace to your life. And do you think that when we do those sorts of things, that we close ourselves off from experiences, everyone? Are we denying ourselves something? You know, when we say we're anything that doesn't bring me peace doesn't belong in my life.
Well, yeah, you are denying yourself stuff. You're denying yourself the risk of things. You're also denying yourself, whatever pain and misery you don't want in your life. But that pain and misery obviously comes with growth and other things. I mean, there's a bunch of different trade-offs there. It's all an opportunity cost, really. But it depends on what phase of life you're in. I mean, if you're looking for aggressive growth, then you have to put yourself in a difficult spot. Because out of adversity does come growth and development. Whereas if you've grown and now because growth is tiring. Like they don't tell you this. They're like, oh yeah, you must grow. Yes, you must grow, but you must take a rest as well, because otherwise you'll knock you on your ass. So, like after you've gone through a period of growth, it's important just to take a step back, acknowledge everything you did, reward yourself for that growth, respect how much you've grown, and then just take a beat and relax and breathe and recover. Because, like I said, growth is tiring work.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
I think you talked about the opportunity cost there, Dean.
Yeah.
And that brings up, I guess, a very interesting question, I guess, about the costs of everything. And there's that saying, you know, if it costs your peace, it's not worth it. Have you ever heard that one, and have you ever applied
Yeah, plenty
that
of
in your
times.
life? Yeah.
I apply it with people all the time.
Say again, sorry?
I apply it with people all the time.
Oh, with people. Oh, okay,
Like if
cool.
someone is coming into your life and they're disrupting your peace and happiness, and
Yeah.
it's different if they're doing it and their reason for doing it is, they want you to be better and they're trying to push you, and like I get that. But if someone is just being a narcissist, or just taking joy in putting you in difficult situations, or is benefiting from your unhappiness and your and destroying your peace, cut that person out as fast as possible and don't feel bad about it, because that person has no goodwill for you. If they're compromising your happiness, and you can see yourself becoming an unhappy person in their presence, and they're enjoying themselves, that is someone that needs to go.
I think Dean's 100% on the money, but I think that phrasing it's a bit too far to the positive. What it should be saying, if someone's negatively impacting you, then you should cut them out. Or if it says if it costs you your peace, but a lot of things will cost you your peace that you have to do, you know, like work. Um, I, sorry.
True, very true.
And you can't
You have a
can't
point,
cut
sir.
that out, right? But like what
Nah,
Dean
you
is saying is
can't.
100% on. I think it's more um, if something is negatively impacting you, and you you should find a way to remove it from your life. Um,
It doesn't serve
yeah,
you, right? It
yeah,
doesn't serve you in
yeah,
any particular way. It's not
yeah,
perhaps moving you forward. I think we've mentioned
yeah.
that in the past as well.
I don't. Yeah,
Um, So
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly that perhaps just
Yeah.
removing it from your life, even if so temporarily as well,
Yeah.
just so you can
Yeah.
regain focus, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Reset
When you take a step back and look at things from
perspective.
afar,
Correct.
perspective.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking
Ah,
for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
to gain
Yeah. I just don't
perspective,
want to say
basically.
if something is costing you your peace, you should remove it from your life because you'll end up pretty much with a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to say
No, no,
that
no.
though.
100%.
Like
I
Tiff
think,
said,
I think, yeah,
he's rephrasing
yeah.
what I
I think
mean,
you definitely
and
hit the
he's
nail
doing
on
it
the head.
well.
I think you definitely hit the nail on the head. I think the phrase itself was just a little bit too far right field, you know?
Yeah, gotcha. True, true. Can't argue that.
But
Another
yeah,
another another sports analogy:
that's me
left
being
field and right
technical.
field.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the greatest teachers of I think peace and calm in my life was leaving home for the first time, and then suddenly being
Mm.
all alone, and then kind of sitting in that silence, and you're in this apartment now all by yourself, and I think that was one of the greatest teachers for me, of peace and
So
calm.
it's
What
because
was it
it's
for
only
you?
because
For
you
any
don't
of
have
you,
a
was
TV.
it the
That's why.
same?
Don't say that you have peace now that you left home. If you buy a TV, that peace will go away. I promise you.
Not if you use it to watch Stranger Things.
No, but you know what I'm saying. He's just finding all this peace in his aloneness because you don't have a TV or anything to do. That's why.
Yes, 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 yes. Sure. Listeners, I have not had a TV in any of my apartments. I think since I came up here, it's about 6 years now, pretty much. So yeah. Anyway, that wasn't the point I was making. It wasn't about me not having a TV. It is me realizing for the first time that there's this, like, I'm not with my family. I'm not with like friends and things like that. It's just me, and then this overwhelming
You
silence.
know what they
You
did.
know.
Why did you choose to use the word overwhelming there?
Say again.
Why did you choose to use the word overwhelming there?
Because initially, it was overwhelming, right? You know when they say silence is deafening,
Yeah,
that term as well.
gotcha.
It was too silent for me. Coming from a background where there's
Mm.
always people, there's always communication, there's always talking, there's always something going on. Like Prash mentioned, at home there was TV, there was radio, there was all these things.
Hmm.
Um, and then there was, when I came up, I had none of that stuff, none of those things, and none of those stuff, and no people as well. So then there was just me and the silence, and so it was overwhelming at first, 100%. Like, how do I learn to sit in the silence? How do I learn to sit with myself? How do I learn, um, to be okay with this? And until I got to that point, the silence was
Mm.
overwhelming to me. I wasn't used to it at all. So that's what I meant when I said overwhelming.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You know what I
Like,
feel is, and I think you used the right example of you coming to live in by yourself and whatever. You found peace not in the silence. You found peace in learning about yourself and learning about independence and being independent. That's where you found your
yeah,
peace because you've become accustomed, not accustomed, but you've learned about yourself. You've grown into yourself, and that's where you found your peace because that's why a lot of people say you shouldn't get into a relationship unless you can actually learn to be by yourself, you know. It's
yeah,
not for the fact that
yeah,
part of it is so that you don't use that other person as a crutch, but also you need to learn about yourself and the things that you like, right? So that when you are with that other person, you know where your boundaries are. And it's the same thing with finding peace. You Peace is created when you learn about yourself and you learn where the boundaries are outside of yourself, so that when somebody comes into those boundaries, they're impacting your peace, right? Yeah.
yeah. I know that Dean wanted to talk about boundaries as well. I think he mentioned to me on the side.
Okay.
I think a while back when I introduced the topic to you, Dean.
Oh yeah, just boundaries with people in general, though.
Yeah,
And I know, like, you can have boundaries with. We were talking about work, and boundaries with work is obviously a good thing because if you run yourself into the ground, the company will replace you just as quickly.
Yeah.
But boundaries with your friends and family is probably the hardest type of boundaries to set because those conversations are never really easy. And people tend to overstep quite a lot in those things because there's always a sense of, entitlement or lack of understanding that there even could be a boundary. It's like, well, where's this boundary coming from? And
Yeah.
well, I think the boundary's always been there. It's just I never told you it was there, and now you're getting upset that I'm telling you it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, boundaries are important for your mental health, for the preservation of your character, for all of those things that keep you yourself. Because the more you allow people to encroach in that, the more of yourself you lose in the process. And that's a very fast route to depression and mental health issues. So yeah, I encourage people just to practice healthy boundaries, not being unrealistic, just healthy
Mm.
boundaries. Like people need to respect your wishes, respect your space, that kind of thing.
So okay, so just going back to the question that started this all, what is one of your greatest teachers on either relaxation, either being calm or being at peace?
Yeah.
Cats,
Can you say again?
cats.
The
Like if
plane.
you,
Cats.
and I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. I mean, like if you look at cats, they understand how to sort of be at peace in their environment. If you just look at them, they are masters at being at peace. And it's like they just look so content with life. And it's like, well, surely it can't be that hard, you know? It's like if you could just achieve that level of contentness once a week, you'll be a happier person.
I love cats as well, so
Just watch
I
them. I
love that
swear,
inference.
they know something.
Prash,
I
with
don't
you,
know. I
have
don't
you
know.
been at it?
For me, it's been a lot of different things. Like I've had to try a lot of
Yeah.
different things to find where I can find my peace. Because I was a lot like you in the fact that it's very difficult to quieten my mind and stuff. And I find that peace needs to be practiced. Um,
That's true.
It's a skill you have to learn, right?
yeah,
Like
it's
any
for
other.
me. It needs to be practiced because you don't just instantly find it, right? But when you do have it, you need to sort of remember how you got there. Um, and for me, it's a lot of different things. I tried music. I've tried listening to like talks and presentations and doing yoga and meditation and all of that stuff. But
Mm.
yeah, at the end of the day, it's more about the state that I'm in. And like Dean says, I think cats is a really nice example. Um, they get into a position that's comfortable for them, and they're in a space that's not too always loud and stuff like that, and it's comfortable for them. I think it's that comfort element needs to play a big part.
Yeah, I mean, I think of peace almost like a muscle. If you don't train it, it's gonna wither away. The more you train it, the stronger it gets.
Mm.
You know, you have to. I 100% agree with you. You have to practice it. You have to actively seek it out. You
Mm.
have to cultivate it. You have to look after it. You have to feed it.
And how has it changed your life then? I mean, whatever level of peace that you at. I mean, you could be at the starting level, nowhere at all, or wherever. But how has that actually changed your life?
It's like I struggled a lot with mental health issues. Like I struggled a lot with depression. Still do from time to time, but that getting like just practicing that, finding that calm space, that peaceful space, whatever that might be, whether it's cooking or going for hikes, fishing, binge watching series, or just going to the beach, whatever that might be. It makes such a big difference with managing your mental health. I can't quantify how big a difference it is because I just don't know how to put that into words. But it's a survival thing, really. It's essential. It's like food at
Mm.
this point because without it, I don't know where I would be. I would just not be a very healthy person. So that's what it's meant for me. It's meant survival. That's how big a difference it is.
Yeah, it
Prash,
really
you?
it really does make such a huge difference to your life when And like we said, it's practice, right? But when you get into a groove of understanding um, what you are like in a peaceful state, and you're when what you are like in a calm state, if you can be in that state continuously or as often as possible, you find that the 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 things that are happening to you that are challenging and negative, it's not that they don't challenge you, it's that you deal with them a lot more easily, right? You don't get angered so easily, you don't react so quickly, but also you can be in a state that's consistently calm but appreciative of all the good things that you have, right? And there's a
Yeah.
Zen proverb, I was just looking for it. It says, to be calm is the highest achievement of self, right? And that's what I've tried to do over the last, I don't know, 5 years of my life or whatever. To be continuously calm, right, doesn't mean you have to be balanced like a monk, right? To that level, but to be continuously calm, even in the face of adversity, doesn't mean you get rattled very quickly, right? Even though your voice and pitch can change, your levels of anger can change. If you understand internally that, yes, I'm angry, but I can also be calm about it and deal with the situation as it is, for example, you will find that you deal with things a lot more simply, right? I mean, you can't take it to the extreme and like be continuously calm that something negative doesn't impact you at all and you just deal with it. But we're people, right? And things can impact you. But when you have that level of calm, you can actually deal with things that are positive very well, right? And enjoy them, but also deal with negative things and don't let them impact you so much. And that's what peace helps you with. It helps you find this level of calm and tranquility within yourself that allows you to deal with the things in your life a lot easily, a lot more easily.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's to add a slightly different angle to it. It's almost as if it provides a different type of packaging for what you
Mm,
experience. Like the context or the perspective is so
mm,
different. Like when something bad happens, it's not a case of why is this bad thing happening. It's a case of, okay, well, this is not great, but how
mm,
do I fix it? It's such a that's the difference in mindset. Like you're already into a solutions mindset in the one case, and in the other case, you're looking at it and you're just falling into depression because like why is this bad thing
mm,
happening to me? And then on the flip side, depending on what mindset you're in, when something good happens, if you're in a bad space, something good can happen, and you're like, well, this is not going to last, and you won't enjoy it as much. But if you're in a happier space, you're like, well, I'm very appreciative of this good thing, and I'm just going to enjoy it
mm,
while it's
mm.
here. It will pass, but I also know that more good things are on the way.
For sure. I agree with that. I have this, yeah, I
Nice.
have this
So do
little
I.
gif of because I'm looking at the Discord channel that we're in, and I have this little gif of Yoda that keeps falling over, and Yoda's a prime example of like calm and
It
zen.
is.
If there's negative things happening, they're happening, and you'll deal with it. But if there's positive things happening, you'll see how you'll enjoy it. And that sort of calmness, that level of calmness, is actually quite. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, to be honest with you, but uh, Yoda is a good example of what good Zen looks like. You know,
I think you're looking at
yeah.
Baby
But
Yoda,
I mean, that's what triggered in my mind.
Grogu. Yeah, that's exactly it.
I agree. To be honest, I agree with both of those sentiments. When Dean mentioned dealing with things, if you and I think Prush in his football analogy also mentioned this. When you're coming from a space of calm, you're able to process things and do things
Mm,
a lot better, as opposed to if your mind was in disarray or you weren't so focused and centered. So 100% agree with your views, guys, on that question. But yeah, that's all I had actually. We rumbled through those 12
12 questions.
questions.
Quicker than
Yeah,
normal,
those
I would
were
say.
those. Actually, those that would actually I just checked now. Those were 14, not 12. But good going, guys. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we close out for today?
No,
Not really from my side, no.
I just like the whole practice piece thing. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone should do it.
All right. Well, thank you both once again for being a part of this. I appreciate your comments and your answers to the questions that I've had. And listeners, thank you so much for joining us once again on the Three Wise Potatoes podcast. We really appreciate your listens and your responses to our polls.
All five of you.
There's five.
Thank you very much.
I
Thank you
know.
very much once again. And have a incredible and powerful day ahead. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.